Lenovo and Intel sponsored this video where we're going to be looking at, well, it's a Legion gaming laptop. Here we go. Look at how thin this is. Apparently it's got a 4070 in it. First of all, the power adapter. This is a slim charger that does up to 230 watts, not bad. Now, if you want, you don't need to use this. And if you have a USB Type-C charger, you can plug it in right here. This will accept up to 140 watts of fast charging. Looking at the I/O, we have headphone microphone combo jack, USB Type-C, which supports power delivery, and DisplayPort 1.4, Thunderbolt 4, which also does that power delivery. Around back, we have DC charging, HDMI 2.1, love to see it, 3 USB Type-A's, awesome. You normally only get like one of those on a laptop. And around the right side, we have a full-size SD card reader, awesome if you want to do video or photo editing, and a little switch for the webcam. Nice. What you've probably noticed though is that this is very thin. This thing's just over 17 millimeters thick, which for something that has a 4070 in it, hot dang guys. I hope that this right here isn't, well, super loud. We'll find out soon. Also while we're here, the design of this looks really good. Like, it just looks rather plain, like from a distance, but when you get close, the details are excellent. Like if you look at this, we have what is likely CNC diamond cut all around the edges in this way that just looks absolutely fantastic. Can we catch the light with it here? Oh, there we go. You can really see how it's just like a nice fancy little flare. You don't need RGB when you just have nice materials. Let's see. One finger, very easy. Oh, that's a big display. I absolutely love that they're going to 16:10 on all of the gaming devices because like, you still want to use a gaming device for productivity and that just makes it better. Oh, ooh. This is a well-built chassis. Look at this. Oh, okay, you can kind of get some flex around the keyboard if you try. That is legit one of the stiffest chassis that I've seen in ages. Jake just asked what I think of the reverse notch up here. And I think that's a really great way to sort of compromise it. Like you're not getting a huge bezel up here and also, boom, awesome. While we're looking at it, they have so much cooling here. So look, just all of like the back half of this, all along here, and then same on the other side. There is just so much heat sink wrapping all the way around this. Now, normally I would be concerned when laptop makers do something like this that you can't have easy access to the I/O because like it's out here, it gets in the way, but they have it on the back and it is really nice when you have these little lights back here, which let you know what you want. So let's just turn it on and I'll show you that. That is so nice when you like need to fumble around and figure out where these are. That little bit of light, oh, love it, Lenovo. How heavy is this thing? Well, I know it's 4.4 pounds, but let's just check. 4.7, 4.8 pounds. What's that in real units? 2.1 kilograms. So that is a bit heavier than they quoted, but at the same time, that is still very light for a machine like this, and particularly one that is this well built. Can you see any flex? Nothing, yeah. This is really well built. What's up with Windows at the manatees? This is not the first time, but we have like a whole spread here. Facts about sea cows. Explore their hidden world. Wow, that is distracting. Okay, but before we go to Notepad, I need to adjust this RGB because that is ridiculous. Yeah, three's, okay. All right, function spacebar allows you to change the RGB to something that's not completely obnoxious. I want to test out the keyboard because, like, you know, having a good gaming laptop's all good and stuff, but if you don't have the basics down, it doesn't really matter. This has 1.5 millimeters of travel, and let's have a little test. Keyboard is great. I would give it an A, maybe an A+. It doesn't have the most tactile or like forceful actuation, but at the same time, there's loads of travel, the keys are well stabilized, and also, since it doesn't have quite as much actuation force, it's really nice for gaming because like if you're holding shift or control or whatever for a long amount of time, W, it can get kind of fatiguing if you have like really heavy switches. These are just very simple, nice little soft boys. As for the trackpad, they didn't quite maximize the space that it takes up here, but at the same time, it looks like it's glass topped and the tracking overall is good. It is pretty great, honestly, that Windows devices have good trackpads these days, kind of just across the board. I haven't felt an awful one in a while, which is really saying something when you review as many gaming laptops as I do, and all of them are generally pretty good. What do we think? This right here gets like a A-. Needs a little bit more to get all the way there. I like a big one. Oh well, whatever points they don't get for having a smaller trackpad, they do get back for having a much larger keyboard. So over on the right here, we have a full num key set, which I personally, take it or leave it, don't really care, but I know a lot of people just absolutely die to have a numpad. Like, just right here, if you're an accountant or, I don't know, putting stuff into Excel spreadsheets all the time from your laptop. Engineers in SolidWorks love having one of these. Overall, just a good thing to have. For the display, the one that we have right here is the optional 3200 by 2000 panel. So that's a little bit higher resolution at 165 Hertz, but I don't think this is the one that you should get. They also have a 240 Hertz model that goes up to 500 nits. This one right here is only 430. So I don't know, just get the one that's slightly lower resolution, but still enough resolution that is a higher refresh rate and brighter, probably. That said, if you're a video editor or a photo editor, you might want this higher resolution one, and 165 Hertz is not a refresh rate that I'm about to complain about. I also really appreciate that they've gone with a matte display on this. It's something that's kind of come and gone in popularity, and I really like that matte displays are having a comeback right now. Especially on gaming devices, like, you don't want the, I don't know, your RGB lights that are behind your streaming setup to be flickering off of your display. You want just the nice matte. 165 Hertz, love it. All right, I was a little bit concerned that we wouldn't be able to get this quite working at this really high resolution, and I think I was correct. But we're gonna click the GPU overdrive and the overdrive, GPU working mode, DGPU mode. Hell yeah, save. Just doing a quick restart to ensure that the GPU is connected directly to the panel. Now, you can do it kind of either way. You can either have the GPU connected directly to the panel, or it can go through the integrated graphics to the panel and you lose about 10% of your performance. We're just gonna lock it down, make sure that it's always doing it correctly. Maybe we'll get better performance, we'll see. All right, we got over 10 FPS by doing the GPU and increasing the GPU power, which makes sense and is awesome. All right, Paul. Did Paul die? Did someone kill Paul? Someone killed Paul? Where's my dev commands? Aha! Super Paul! All right, we've now successfully cheated our way to having good gear. Haha. Goodbye. Paul's now OP. Of course, this being a 4070, there is a massive breadth of how fast a 4070 can be, and this right here lands somewhere in the middle. This right here has 125 watt TGP and a total of 140 watts available to everything. So you might be thinking, there's not a whole lot of power left over for the CPU once you use up 125 of that for the GPU, but Lenovo has a way around that. What we've got in here is Lenovo AI Engine Plus. And what that is doing is it is looking at how you are using your computer and how different programs are using your computer's resources and optimizing your computer for that. So like, some games will absolutely love drawing a whole bunch of CPU power, and on other laptops, if you have your like turbo ultra mode where your GPU gets all of the power, it will actually go slower because your CPU is being sacrificed. This right here is going to, over time, learn how your games like to behave and slowly, in theory at least, make them faster. Now, like I said before, there is a 240 Hertz panel option, and I'm just gonna knock it down to that resolution and see what we get. So now, at 1600p, we're looking at 110, 115 FPS. This is, oh, there we go. So yeah, this hardware that we have in here, even though it does seem like it is quite capable, is much better suited for the 1600p as opposed to the 2000. For the gaming there, I did have overdrive on, which is, you know, it's the fans give it mode, but they still were not too bad. Like, it was really going full bore there. And even though the fans were kind of loud, like I'm sure you're able to hear them, they weren't like high pitched whining or had any like distracting elements to it. It was more just like a whoosh and like white noise as opposed to like those really annoying ones. For the CPU, get the Intel i9-13900H, that is 6 performance cores, 8 efficiency cores, and a max turbo frequency of 5.4 gigahertz in something like this. I still can't believe how fast laptops have gotten recently, particularly in the CPU space. For the RAM, we get 32 gigabytes of DDR5 at 5200 mega transfers per second. Now, Lenovo does have some slightly faster ones. I think some of their Legion line goes up to 6000, but it's kind of like going from the fastest that everyone else has to the absolute fastest. For the SSD, it's a Samsung 1 terabyte, excellent. Wi-Fi 6E, yep, they got it. And of course, like I said, the RTX 4070 with 125 watts dedicated to it. Well, available to it. It's not always going to get that. Now, one thing to note is that the laptop version of the 4070 is, first of all, not actually a 4070, but also we only get 8 gigabytes of RAM, which is sort of enough, but we are starting to see in some games that not quite cutting it. If you are concerned about having the best graphics and the most modern of titles, maybe look at one of their thicker boys than this one. Sounds good so far. All right. That's nice and loud. It has a nice enveloping sound, as they say, but does it have the bass? That's respectable. That's pretty darn good. I'm curious. Oh. Yeah, okay. So what I just discovered there is that they have these down-firing little tweeter chummies in here. You can see it right there. And you actually get quite a bit more clarity and high end when you have it on a table, so it can bounce that sound off of here and just kind of makes the whole thing sound larger and generally more betterer. Excellent job. While we're here, let's just have another little look at the display from, you know, a content consumption point of view. This supports Dolby Vision and HDR 400, and it looks pretty darn good. Like, you're not getting OLED levels of darkness there, but you're also not getting OLED levels of battery drain, most likely. Lenovo says this will get you up to 12 hours of battery life, which I think is pretty optimistic given the amount of power that this thing has. But at the same time, if you treat it really, really nicely, you might be able to get that. Also, Intel Thread Director. It allows it to, you know, balance the tasks between all of the different programs and stuff that you have open. And as you saw, we were able to screen record and play video games at the same time. It had no trouble. You have 20 threads. It's pretty darn good at multitasking. And also we have a webcam, which has Tobii Horizon support. What the hell is that? Okay, Tobii Horizon is like a type of head tracking, and even though I don't quite know the usefulness, they did show a Euro Truck Simulator version that looks pretty sick, honestly. If that's a game that you like, maybe this will be a great feature for you. Also, this webcam, it is doing a pretty good job of exposing for my face, actually. It had some trouble at first, but it figured it out. This is an incredibly challenging situation because we have like a light there and a light there, and you even still get some detail in like this black sound isolation stuff. Let's see. Also, we're on the crappy set for ShortCircuit today, so there's just warehouse there, empty warehouse over there. If you're wondering why the sound sucks,
it's temporary.
It's temporary. But like, I moved it all around there, and it still is exposing for my face, which is the most important thing in a webcam. It's a little bit on the grainy side, but it's a webcam. You can only ask so much. Let's just verify that the disabler switch works. Goodbye. Cool, it does. Oh, wow. I was not expecting to see heat pipes in here, but this one right here is a chungus. Yeah, we don't need that. So it said in Task Manager that we had 2 SODIMM slots, but I only see 1. Now, the RAM is confusing. So some of them will have 8 gigabytes on board, others will have 16, but all of them only have 1 RAM slot. So that means that it might be very easy for you to upgrade to 32 gigabytes, or you might be only upgrading to 24, but either way, you can upgrade the RAM. That's pretty great in 2023. Also, what you can upgrade is the SSD. So we have one right over here, and if you want a second, boom, goes right in there. Great job, guys. Also, big ol' battery, 99.9 watt hours, the largest that you can take on a plane, which, excellent. It's, you know, I still have no clue how good the battery life is on this thing, but it's as good as it can be. More heat pipes. For cooling, we get Lenovo's Cold Front 5.0, which basically means heat pipes, fins, they cool it good. As you can see, they have done quite a good job. So we have fins here, fins back there, big old heat pipe like this. This is a fat boy right there. And then a couple smaller ones, which still like, what's that? Like a 15 millimeter heat pipe, something stupid like that. Absolutely massive. The fans, they have a fancy liquid crystal polymer system. That's a really fancy way of saying that they put glass into the plastic, which does actually make it more rigid and is good. Now, of course, this being a sponsored video, I cannot give you a recommendation, but I couldn't anyway because I don't know the price yet. That said though, I can almost certainly guarantee you that this thing is not cheap. It is well built and fast, which in these days means it is going to be expensive. If you want something that's a little bit less, the Lenovo Legion Slim 5i is already out and that one comes in at $2120, which, yeah. Huge thanks to Lenovo and Intel for sponsoring this video. You can check out the 7i down below and I don't know, just go get yourself a little treat. You deserve it. Have a great day.